Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is Sarah from TechDragon.info, and today we're back with some more Tactical with Tanks. This is a reboot of the show, or a continuation, depends on how you want to see it, but either way we're back with Tactical with Tanks. And this time we're going to take a look at, and the upcoming episodes will be about the same thing, for people that are around, let's say tier 4, tier 5, and are hitting a wall, both in skill and knowledge and everything. And this is meant mostly for those people, but it might still be interesting even if you're not around that tier and if you're further into the game. I'm just going to go into some things that you need to know, you want to know, where you can find stuff, you know, that sort of stuff. So, let's start off with, okay, so you're at a tier 4, right? Let's take a look at the tech tree. You're at a tier 4, for instance, and the first thing you have to ask yourself is, are you having fun? Do you like this tier 4? If no, do you want to continue? Do you want a particular tank in that line? Do you know a particular tank is good, or do you just want it because it's, you know, an iconic tank? Or, you know, ask yourself those questions. If you're not having any fun, put it on hold, go try out a different line. Go find something you like. And the first thing you can always try is a heavy tank, a TD, a medium, and a light tank. I'm going to say artillery, but don't even try that. I'm going to say leave out the light tanks, and when I say light tank, I mean tier 5 and up light tanks. One exclusion being the British, because the tier 5 is still a light tank, if you want to go into the British medium. But so, let's just go through the nations. The Americans are very well all-rounded, so it's a good nation to start with. The British, I would say, don't start with them. It's a very difficult nation to play. It really is. So, if you're starting out with a lot of tanks, don't start with the British. Germans are pretty good, with the exception of the heavies. The tier 5 and tier 6 are not great. Tier 7 and up, they're really good. But you have to wait to tier 7. So keep that in mind if you're going with the heavies. The tier 4 is pretty much utter garbage at DW2. The tier 5 is okay, but it's more slow medium than a heavy, so the Germans also might not be the best nation to start with. They do get some really good guns on some of these. The TDs get really good guns from tier 7 and up, and this line of TDs are squishy but get really good guns, so the Germans, yeah, might not be the best starting nation either. The French, don't recommend it as a starting nation. They do have good tanks, don't get me wrong. Not as a starting nation. Not if you're not experienced with the game. Russians, good nation to start with. They have good solid tanks. They have good mediums that start at tier 5. Tier 5 is nothing special. Tier 6 gets a bit more better. You get a bit more of the feeling of a medium. The tier 7 is pretty good. A bit lacking in penetration. Pretty good. Tier 8, in my opinion, is lacking quite a bit. Tier 9 and Tier 10 mediums on the Russian side are really good. Russian heavies, Tier 5 all the way to Tier 10 is awesome. Tier 5 KV-1 is a good tank. T-150 is, you're gonna have to learn to play with it a bit, but KV-1S is currently an overpowered piece of bleep. They're gonna change this tank, so I'm not gonna spend too much time on that. IS is a good tank, KV-3 is a good tank, KV-4 is good, IS-3 is good, so ST1, let me say it correctly, damn it, still calling it STI. ST1 is a good tank, but it's slow, and yeah, it's a long grind, so that might not be the best line to go with. The quote-unquote easiest line would be the KV-1, KV-1S, IS, IS-3, IS-8, and IS-7. That would be the easiest line to go through. IS-7, pretty powerful tank, awesome turret. I don't think pretty much anybody in the game can pen the damn turret. Hull, pretty damn strong if you can go hull down. If you can hide your lower plates, this thing is almost impenetrable. It's pretty nasty. Chinese, again, wouldn't recommend it as a starting nation. The heavies are really good, but you have to go through some pretty shitty tanks. Type T-34 is pretty shit. The Stewart is shit. Just all of this is up to tier 5 is pretty much garbage. Tier 6 took me like 50 games to get used to this tank to do well in it. So again, not really a great tank. Then it gets really good. Japanese, do not start with this as a starting when you're starting off with the game. Not a good nation to go with. So we figured out that the Americans, the Germans, and the Russians are probably the best trees to go with. And you can go with pretty much any of the lines, because they're all good. There's not like... the medium line, you might not want to go down this line here, because these are 3 specialty, quote-unquote specialty mediums, because they have no armor. They're more between scouts and mediums in. Scout, when I say scout, I mean a light tank that's tier 5 and up. So the Lux, for instance, is a scout, because it also gets scout matchmaking. If I'm not mistaken, I don't remember exactly, but I think it can see tier 7, I think, top. So what a scout means is it gets different matchmaking, not like the normal tanks. A normal tank goes 2 tiers above, 2 tiers below, which means you're top tier. So as a tier 5 you can see tier 3, but never tier 2, unless somebody takes him into a platoon. And as well as at tier 5 you can see tier 7, so that's the normal spread. As a scout, a tier 6 scout can see tier 9. Can go all the way up to here. So from here to here, that's 4 difference from your own tier. That's how far a scout can go. I know this is not a scout, but you know, that's how far you can go as a scout. Let's go back to the American line, for instance. I own the T-71. The T-71 sees tier 10s. Now, as a scout, your job is to scout, to spot the enemies and not get killed. Your primary task is to scout, not to shoot. And the guns on the most scouts are a bit lacking, and just for that reason, your main focus shouldn't be firing. But scouts are difficult. They are probably the most advanced things to play in this game. The easiest, quote-unquote easiest to play, is either a tank destroyer, a medium, or a heavy. Now, a couple of things. Mediums are probably your easiest because you don't have a predefined rule. You don't have to go anywhere or do anything. Scouts kind of do. Heavies do, because heavies go to certain flanks. They have to be the armor. They have to hold a flank. So a heavy is, again, not the easiest to play. It's not incredibly hard. Some exceptions there, of course. But yeah, and a TD, you just have to know the spots where to sit, but they don't have any predefined rule. They don't have to go here or do this. So TDs are pretty, quote-unquote, easy. I mean, I'm not saying they're easy, but you sit in a bush and you shoot is what it comes down to. Well, wrong. That's not right. It's not that simple. And we'll probably get to that in the next tactical attacks. I'll take a look at in-game footage of strategies and where to place yourself in specific tank types in the just general areas. So that will be in next episode. Now we're just looking at the tank types. So the medium is probably the easiest to start off with because you don't have to do anything. Now, what's a good medium? And what's a medium's rule? Well, a good medium is the M4. M4 gets a big ass derp gun. Where is it? Here it is. 410 damage, 53 penetration. That means that this gun, as you can see, it only has 2 stats here instead of 3. This means that it shoots high explosive, and this is the premium round. So with high explosive it has 53 penetration, with heat it has 101 penetration. Damage 410 and 350. So that's how these stats work. If we look at a normal gun, you'll see 3. Normal AP, so that's your normal armor pen. We have the premium rounds, so in this case it's APCR, AP, armor pen, composite, rigid. That's what it stands for. You can see it right here. And the last one is high explosive. So the reason why high explosive has a lower penetration is because it's exploding. If it penetrates, it will explode inside the tank and do massive damage. If it doesn't, as you can see, does 185 versus 115. Don't take high explosive on any gun other than derp guns. Unless you have a gun that says howitzer or something like that, or in this case where you only have the option for a high explosive. Other than that, there's almost no tank that you need to take high explosive, except for, I'll show you, well, here for instance, you see I have 34 AP, no APCR, and 9 heat, high explosive. I was going to say heat, high explosive. So that 9 is a bit too much, so let's crank that down to 5, take a bit more normal shells, and accept, yes. So, why do I take high explosive? Well, if you have to reset a cap, and you need to make sure that you reset the cap, a high explosive shell is really good, because you don't have to penetrate the tank in order to do damage to him to reset the cap. So that's why you always, or pretty much always, want to take a couple of high explosive shells on a gun that you normally just fire armored pen with. So that's the whole deal with high explosive. From tier 5 and up, I would recommend getting first aid kit, small repair kit, manual fire extinguisher. They do cost a bit of money. I think it's 5k a piece. 3k. 3k and 3. Okay, so it's 3. I think they used to be 5. But anyways, yeah, you click here. When the slots are empty, you just click on what you want to have. I want that. You'll see you'll get it. And then you want to check this automatically resupply. First aid kit. Small first aid kit brings back 1 crew member, gets used up. So if you fix a crew member, it will cost you 3k at the end of that battle. Repair kit will fix your tracks, your damaged gun, your ammo rack, you know, all those modules, but only one of them. Fire extinguisher, I think you can imagine what that does. It extinguishes a fire. If you play German tanks, always equipped a fire extinguisher. Japanese? Yeah, probably. British? Yeah, probably. The only ones you don't need it on as much is Russian tanks, but you can still use it, and I still equipped it on every single one of my tanks. So you also have premium ones. I personally never use them. I have them laying around because I got a bunch of them from events. I have 9 of those, 9 of those, 11 of those, and they give some extra bonuses. So a large repair kit will give you 10% speed to module repair. So if you get tracked, you'll fix your tracks 10% faster just having this thing equipped, even if you don't use it. Large first aid kit, 15% chance for your crew not to get damaged, so it's extra protection for your crew. That's even when you don't use it. And it will fix every single crew member that's injured. So, but you can only use it once, so again, you know, same thing. Combat rations, it gives you 10% boost to your crew. Does the same thing as vents, although vents only does 5%, but gets consumed after battle. And there's an automatic fire extinguisher which automatically gets used, and you have 10% more fire protection. So they do have uses, but I don't ever use them. Then you have land-leased oil, which gives you engine power and turret power in some cases. You have speed governor removal, 10% engine power, but it damages your engine. You have to activate this item, but over time it will damage your engine. You'll have to fix your engine, so yeah, not really worth it. Again, gets consumed if you use it. So that's consumables. From tier 5 and up, maybe even tier 4, I would say get them, because if you're tracked and you can fix your track and get out of the line of fire, you can stay in the game. If your gunner is dead and you can fix him back up, that means you can actually shoot things again. Same with your loader. Radio man, don't ever fix him. Don't ever waste a repair kit on your radio man, unless your radio man is also your loader. In this tank, for instance, you can see here has the little headphones and the little ammo thingy-jingy. That means my radio man is also my loader. So if my radio guy gets killed, that means my loader is dead. So on this tank, you do want to fix him, but if he's just a radio man, don't waste it. It's not worth it. And I think that was it for the first tactical with tanks on... I'm not sure what we're going to call this. How to help people out when they're stuck at around tier 5, I guess. But that's a really long title. No, I don't know. We'll just have to see what we're going to call this. But I hope you guys enjoy, and I hope you guys find this useful. Leave a comment down below if you have any tips or anything you want me to address in the next episode. I'm not quite sure what kind of schedule we're going to release these videos. It might be a couple of times a week, might be once a week. We'll just have to see. And I'm hopefully going to help you people get better at tanks just by small increments, small sections of the game, and we'll distill them. So next week we're probably going to look at some in-game stuff, where to set up, what to shoot, weak spots, general weak spots, and a couple of those things. And yeah, we'll keep on doing this, and hopefully you guys will find it useful or entertaining or anything. Let me know in the comments down below what you guys think, and if you have any ideas or suggestions, like I said, I'd love to hear them. And I hope you guys enjoyed. See you on the next one.